A very good evening and welcome to this Sunday's edition of Newsfirst Weekend, coming to you live from our Newsfirst studios in Colombo. I'm Arundhati Mudanayaka. Let's take a look at the stories making headlines this evening.
President meets with people displaced by floods, issues instructions for swift provision of relief. Water levels of the Kalani River recedes, rains dissipate. Another plan to mitigate flooding in Colombo.
President Maithripala Sirisena met with those displaced by the floods in the Vallampitiya, Meethotamulla and Kolonnawa areas today.
Upon arriving in the Vallampitiya area, President Maithripala Sirisena inquired into the issues faced by those who have been sheltered at the Vidyavardhana College. After personally inquiring into the issues of each person, President Sirisena paid close attention to their shortcomings. The President instructed the relevant officials to provide solutions to the issues of those affected by the floods. President Maithripala Sirisena thereafter visited the Dharmodaya Vihara in Meethotamulla and Kolonnawa Nagavanarama and inquired into the issues of those who have taken refuge there. The President had called for all possible measures to be taken to secure the welfare of the flood affected.
Over 500 people in Bangladesh have been evacuated after cyclonic storm Roanu, which caused widespread devastation in Sri Lanka, made landfall there. And 23 people have been killed in Bangladesh as a result of the cyclonic storm. Packing winds of up to 88 kilometers per hour, Roanu made landfall in southern Bangladesh. The Met Department, meanwhile, says the heavy rains brought on in Sri Lanka as a result of the deep depression, which intensified into the cyclonic storm, have dissipated. However, the department is forecasting temporary localized strong winds in the eastern, southern and northern provinces.
The Air Force deployed 2 aircrafts today to monitor landslide-stricken areas. Floodwaters have begun to recede in many areas. The Department of Irrigation says the water level of the Kalani River has dropped to 5.5 meters, indicating that the major flood risk has been downgraded to a minor flood situation.
Water hyacinths have collected near one bridge and we have used a large mounted excavator to clean it. The Department of Irrigation added that none of the reservoirs are at spill level at present. Nevertheless, a landslide warning remains in effect for 7 districts.
Looting has been reported from areas along the banks of the Kalani River that were inundated by flood waters.
Looting has been reported from abandoned houses in Velewata, Kurisekanu and Uswata in Vallampitiya. The water levels in several areas, including Vallampitiya and Vanavata, have decreased. However, residents are still unable to move back to their homes as the situation is unfavorable to do so.
Many of the people whose localities were flooded continues affected by 2 factors. One is the spread of diseases that has intensified due to the inclement weather. The other main reason are the robberies that are taking place, taking the situation for advantage. Water levels are now receding, but the water that is remaining is now contaminated. The color of the water has changed and it looks black. The next problem that the people who return to their homes face are diseases. Many people who got into the water have wounds on their feet. They are vulnerable to infections as they have to move about in these infected waters. Security officials together with the Navy and area residents continue to provide the affected people with dry rations and other essentials. But how will the officials react to the post-disaster issues? We directed our attention to this. There might be a spread of skin diseases. For that, we need anti-fungus creams. With such requirements increasing, we need more supplies of such creams. But everything has been made available, therefore we have not come across any problems.
An aid convoy reached 1,200 families in the Gampala area today, 4 days after they lost all connection with the outside world following a landslide.
What happened here has never happened before in this village in which generations have lived.
On the 17th of this month, people in the Dolusbagi area were separated after a river of mud started flowing through the Beravilla mountain in the area. In minutes, one village became two villages with no access routes to either. These villagers were trapped in the Beravilla College and the temple in the area for 4 days as rescue and relief teams were unable to reach the location due to the lack of an access route. Aid was distributed among these individuals in the Patillava and Beravilla villages after a road was cleared by the army.
Around 100 children in this village go to schools outside the village, and they have not been able to go to school during the past few weeks. If the children fall ill, we have no way of taking them to the hospital for treatment. There are a lot of children here.
Meanwhile, reports have emerged that the property and belongings of people who are victims of the landslide in the Aranaka area in the Kegol district have been looted. These individuals who were battered by the Siripura mountain, the Samapura mountain and the Ambala mountain giving way are facing another threat as there are signs of the Balumgala mountain giving way as well. Last evening, the Makalankanda mountain gave way and the individuals in the area had been relocated at the Makalankanda Viharaya. These individuals state that they too face the risk of their belongings being looted.
My house was broken into yesterday, and a house a few doors down from mine was also broken into. They broke the dog's leg. If we move down from here, we will have no place to come back to.
The people of Bulat Kohupetia are calling on authorities to provide them with safe lands to settle. This is a Newsfirst special report.
The village of Kalupahanawatta is located about 10 kilometers away from the Bulat Kohupetia town in the Kegol district. The mountain at the foot of which the village is located gave way on Tuesday and an avalanche of earth and rocks collapsed onto the homes of the unsuspecting victim.
It sounded like a heavy vehicle was passing by. I ran outside. My grandmother, grandfather and everyone else in my family were buried in the earth.
6 of the 10 line rooms in Kalupahanawatta were flattened, claiming 16 lives. This is Ganeshan Jayakumar, one of the survivors.
My wife and my 2 children were buried in the earth. I am alone now.
Derikant, who had travelled overseas to work to sustain his family, returned to the island immediately after the disaster, only to discover that his entire family was lost.
My mother, my father, my two sisters, my brother-in-law, my sister's child have all been lost. What more do I have to live for?
We encountered many such despairing voices in Kalupahanawatta.
No one is concerned with our lives. We live in the same line rooms they built in the past. Our families are lost and we are on the streets. We are orphans.
In spite of the major risk of landslides, there are still line rooms in Kalupahanawatta. Children, unaware of the danger they face, continue to play on the mountain of earth.
இந்த இடங்களிலே மாணவர்கள் கல்வி கற்ற புத்தகங்களை எம்மால் காணக்கூடிய
There are two certificates here belonging to a child known as Niranjala. One is the character certificate issued by her school principal, the other a certificate recognizing her first place achievement at a national level competition. This is just one example that highlights how this landslide took with it the future of an entire community.
Newsfirst செய்திகளுக்காக புலத்கோப்பிட்டிய கழுப்பாண்ட தோட்டத்திலிருந்து ரியாஸ்.
State Minister of Lands T.B. Kanayaka says that lands will be given to those who lost their homes in landslides. The minister made this statement at a media briefing held in Kurunegala today.
The President has informed us on the matter of lands to those affected, which will be provided under the assessment and supervision of the National Building Research Organisation, Geological Survey and Mines Bureau and Disaster Management Centre, and based on their recommendations. Our ministry is currently in the process of formulating the required provisions for this and to provide lands which will not be prone to such disasters. According to the data and statistics, more than 100,000 people are in need of lands in the Kandy and Kegol districts. 35,000 people in the Ratnapura district are in need of lands. When providing these lands, we will ensure the lands will not be provided in mountainous regions and that lands will be provided based on the approval and survey of relevant institutions.
Despite the continuous distribution of relief to those affected by the inclement weather, the challenge of restoring their lives back to normal remains. A media briefing was held in Colombo today to elaborate on the measures that are being taken in this regard.
We assess the entire situation. One of the main reasons the floodwaters of the Kalani River cause so much harm is due to the reclamation of low-lying lands and the construction of houses in the Kalani Basin, because any low-lying area is meant for the collection of water. These low-lying areas are as important as human lungs, which assist us in breathing. So what we observed when taking an aerial tour was the fact that when these lowlands are taken away, it causes rivers to overflow. We have now decided to bring forth an act on buildings. We are also introducing a new amendment for the Building Research Organisation. If a certain building is being constructed, its construction plan has to be approved. After discussions with the state institution, they have agreed to submit a report on this within 2 to 3 weeks. We will draft the laws accordingly. A plan called New City Colombo has been drawn up together with several former officials who served at the Department of Irrigation. I think this project has been handed over to the Ministry of Megapolis and Western Development. I think around 10,000 acres of land in the Colombo city will fall under this project, especially in the Kolonau area, which cannot be cast aside as barren land. Once this project is carried out properly, the highway will fall from Kaduwela all the way up to the harbour. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Megapolis and Western Development has decided to construct 2 underground storm drains to control the rainwater in Colombo. Due to the high water level of the Kalani River, we were unable to release the water from Nagalam Street, and because of the rough seas, the amount of water flowing out to sea reduced as well. In order to resolve this problem, the Megapolis Ministry has already implemented several medium-term programs with the assistance of the World Bank. A storm drain will be constructed under Baudha Lokamauta up to Bambalapitia, and another storm drain will be built from the large pumping station we are building in Mutwal, which will carry water from Grand Pass to the Kalani River.
Grand Pass,
All schools which come under the purview of the Kolonnawa Educational Zone in the Western Province will be closed tomorrow and the day after as a result of the inclement weather.
Western Province Minister of Education Ranjit Somawansa said St. Mary's College, Munidasa Kumaratunga College and Iyalabomini Primary School in the Kaduwela Educational Zone will also be closed on these days. The Western Province Minister of Education also requested the staff and principals of the schools to report for work if they are not affected by the inclement weather. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Education says that 52 schools in the Sabaragamuwa province have been closed until further notice. Thereby, 46 schools in the Kegol districts and 6 schools in the Good Education Zone will be closed. All other schools in the country will function as normal.
Diarrhea, cholera and skin diseases could spread after the floods. Be mindful about your health.
Several public representatives visited disaster-stricken constituencies today.
Minister of Plantation Industries Navin Disanayake visited people displaced by the Kalupahanawatta landslide at the temporary shelter at Silananda Vidyalaya in Bulatkohupitiya today.
Lands have to be provided for people who were displaced. I have stated clearly to plantation corporation officials to coordinate with the political authority and to release lands for the people. The plantation companies are in favor of this. I hope to carry out all this work within a week.
Minister of Public Enterprises Kabir Hashim also visited the Bulatkohupitiya area today and distributed aid for the displaced.
The Prime Minister has held discussions with the government of Pakistan and we will be receiving equipment to provide proper shelter for the displaced people in the camps. The European Union has also pledged to give us 255 million euros via the Red Cross. The Chinese government has also pledged aid and assistance. Now we need to start thinking about the resettlement program.
Finance Minister Ravi Karunanayake visited people displaced by flooding in Vallampitiya last evening. Karunanayake held discussions with Sri Lanka Navy officers regarding aid arrangements that have been made for the displaced. 2 aid collection centres have been established at the Kaduwela Divisional Secretariat and at the Kaduwela Operations Office of State Minister Sujeeva Senasinghe to provide relief for people displaced by flooding. The minister engaged in an inspection tour of the collection points this morning.
Do not forget this. Usually people forget about such things in 2 to 3 days. We need your cooperation for another 30 days at least. We kindly call everyone to provide what assistance they can.
Western Provincial Councillor Susil Kindelpitiya participated at a meeting held at the Disaster Operations Unit at the Kolonnawa Divisional Secretariat this morning.
Come together and provide assistance and aid to the affected people. Provide the necessary equipment for school children. The government has agreed to provide relief to conduct special estimates on destroyed or damaged property. As a political authority, we hope to coordinate this endeavour and move forward.
Coordinating Secretary to the President, Attorney at Law Rajika Kodituakku distributed dry rations at the Dharmaduta Ashram in Obesekarapura, Rajagiriya today for people who were displaced in Arunodaya Gama.
We appeal to all people not to forget the affected people when they commence their work week tomorrow. Lend whatever support you can to resolve the problems these people are facing.
Also in local news, JVP Politburo member Vasanta Samarasinghe had this to say today on aid and assistance being provided to people affected by floods.
Donations have been pouring in from everywhere to assist people affected by the disaster situation. Aid has come from various organizations, the government and foreign governments as well. We remember the thievery of Mahinda Rajapaksa and Basil Rajapaksa when the tsunami struck. We have serious suspicion that similar theft may occur with aid meant for flood victims. While politicians are giving bananas and Mari biscuits to the people, we do not see genuine enthusiasm among these politicians to help the people. There is grave suspicion among the people that this aid too will go to the politicians' pockets. People are also questioning that government mechanisms need to be more proactive in such disaster situations. The JVP is vigilant about the amount of aid that is being given by foreign nations, organizations and individuals. We can see flood rogues just like we saw tsunami rogues. We reiterate to the government that the JVP is vigilant about whether this aid is going to the people.
Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa says that everyone should unite to help those affected by the inclement weather, devoid of discrimination.
The former president expressed these views at an event organized in line with the Vesak Full Moon Poya Day yesterday at the Kasagala Rajamaha Viharaya in Veerakatiya.
Even they weren't prepared during the first few days, but I see now that they are more prepared. They are getting food at the very least. We should not be criticizing at this point in time. What we should be doing is to provide solutions to this.
Pope Francis called for participants at the World Humanitarian Summit to commit themselves to saving the life of every human being. The pontiff was addressing tens of thousands of visitors gathered in St. Peter's Square at the Vatican for his weekly Angelus prayer.
Domani inizierà a Istanbul.
Tomorrow the first World Humanitarian Summit will start in Istanbul, Turkey, aimed at reflecting on the measures to be taken to meet the dramatic humanitarian situations caused by conflict, environmental problems and extreme poverty. We accompany with prayer participants at that meeting that they fully commit themselves to the main humanitarian goal to save the life of every human being without exception, especially the innocent and the defenseless.
In particolare gli innocenti e i più indefessi.
The United Nations is convening the first World Humanitarian Summit in Istanbul on the 23rd and 24th of May, where aid officials are hoping to shake up the world's emergency response system.
Have you ever faced an impossible choice? Like having to choose between medicine or food for your family? Or which one of your children to give the only life vest to?
Millions of people are faced with impossible choices like these every day.
Every day we receive more news, more footage, more facts, and it's hard to know what to do.
But there is an answer. This May, the first ever World Humanitarian Summit is happening.
The Capital Maharaj organization is proud to be the only Sri Lankan company to be represented at the world's first UN World Humanitarian Summit.
Thousands of devotees have been arriving at the Sirasa John Keel's Vesak Zone organised by the Capital Maharaj Organisation Limited, with John Keel's holding to take advantage of a rare opportunity to pay homage to the sacred Sarvata relics and the relics of the Arhats.
Devotees in their numbers arrived at the premises of the head office of the Capital Maharaja Organisation Limited in Colombo too until past midnight yesterday to pay homage to the sacred relics. The sacred hair and bone relics and relics of 10 Arhats can be witnessed at the Sirasa John Keel's Vesak Zone. We are here on the last 2 days of the Vesak Zone, tonight and tomorrow. Therefore, we ask all Sri Lankan Buddhists to arrive here and to collect merit by paying homage to the sacred relics. The sacred Agrashravaka relics of the Harahat Sariputta and Moggallana are also on display at the Vesak Zone. Devotees can pay homage to the relics until late at night. In spite of the severe weather conditions in the country, with many areas being underwater, we have been able to come this far with the blessings of the relics.
People from rural villages which Newsfirst visited during the Gum at the Door-to-Door program were given an opportunity to visit the Vesak Zone today.
Around 300 devotees who live in rural areas in the island and who are unable to travel the distance to worship the sacred relics received the opportunity to venerate the relics today. Residents from 5 rural villages arrived at the Vesak Zone today. The groups which arrived in special buses were welcomed at Braybrook Place and were given the opportunity to worship the sacred relics. The groups then took in the sights and attractions at the Sirasa John Keel's Vesak Zone.
The Vesak Zone features many attractions in addition to the exposition of the sacred relics.
LED technology has been used in the Vesak Torana this year to bring to life the story of the Thakka Jatakaya. The performance of songs of devotion or Batigi is another popular attraction at the Vesak Zone. The Pandol exhibition by the Sri Lanka Navy, which joined in the Sirasa John Keel's Vesak Zone for the first time this year, is another major attraction. The cultural parade organized by the Sri Lanka Navy has also drawn many people to the Vesak Zone.
The second phase of the Sirasa FM Dhamma School program, which gives an opportunity for students from Dhamma schools to showcase their talent, also got underway at the Vesak Zone today.
Religious observances were held at the premises of the exposition of the sacred relics at the Vesak Zone this morning to invoke blessings on the children who are participating in the Sirasa Dhamma School program representing all districts in the island. We got an opportunity to worship the sacred relics. I believe it is a great boon for us, for our children and the entire nation. This is the first time that we have had such an experience and I am very happy about it.
This is a meritorious deed. May Sirasa be blessed. Thank you very much.
Chaturanga Hapuarachi joins us live from the Vesak zone now to bring us the latest of the happenings there. Chaturanga?
Even though it is the day after the Vesak full moon Poya day, moonlight falls on the premises where the Sirasa John Keels Vesak zone is held abundantly. As you can see, there are thousands of individuals, thousands of people who have gathered here to witness the Sirasa John Keels Vesak zone that is happening for a sixth time. A number of attractions are here at the Sirasa John Keels Vesak zone. There is a colourful pandal or Vesak Torana that is put up for the viewing pleasure of the people who come here. There is a dansala that is organised. There is the sacred relics that have been brought from two different locations of the island for the people to pay their homage, to venerate and collect merit. Now, the number of people who are coming here seems to be increasing by the hour as I'm taking to you live from the Sirasa John Keels Vesak zone. People at this location are having a look at the Vesak Torana that is put up here, which is depicting the Takka Jatakaya. If you are at home watching this, we will be having the Sirasa John Keels Vesak zone for another day. That is tomorrow as well. You can join us. We will be starting the Vesak zone at 7 p.m. However, the sacred relics will be open for viewing from 2 p.m. onwards. I'm Chaturanga Hapuarachi reporting live from the Sirasa John Keels Vesak zone. Over to you once again.
Thank you, Chaturanga, for that update. The Sripada pilgrimage season ended today.
The Sripada pilgrimage season commenced on Unduwa full moon Poya day. Religious observances are conducted at the Sripada Rajama Vihare in Galpottavela, Palmadulla. At dawn on Unduwa Poya day, the sacred foot imprint is consecrated and placed on the altar at the auspicious time. The Sripada pilgrimage season lasts for 6 months until the Vesak Poya day. The Sripada pilgrimage season was concluded yesterday amid the prayers and worship of a large gathering of devotees. Items used in the puja rituals will be returned to the Sripada Rajama Viharya in Galpottavela, Palmadulla following the Pirit ceremony tonight.
And with that, we wrap up tonight's edition of Weekend Primetime News. Thank you very much for joining us. Good night.